too, because of inputs to the NRC's reactor oversight process action matrix that warranted additional inspection, which we refer to as supplemental inspection. After which, at this point actually, I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan Bartley, who will give an overview of the reactor oversight process that's relevant to today's discussion. After Jonathan, Mr. Dave Dunbarker, who again is a senior resident inspector at Browns Ferry, will give a more detailed discussion of the performance of Browns Ferry during 2013. At the end of that discussion, we'll allow time, Mr. Balduzzi, for you and your colleagues to give your thoughts on the regulatory performance of Browns Ferry, safety performance for 2013. And then we'll switch to the regulatory performance meeting, and Mrs. LaDonna Suggs, who led that inspection, will provide that overview. This is what we refer to as in NRC parlance as a Category 1 public meeting. It's a meeting between ourselves and the Tennessee Valley Authority. However, there are a number of members of the public here, and we'd like the opportunity, NRC would, to engage you on any questions you have at the end of the meeting. And it's good to see all of you out today. So at this point, I'll turn it over to you, John.
Hi, good morning. I'm Jonathan Bartley, Chief Director of Project Branch 6. The purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the Browns Ferry nuclear plant performance for 2013.
I can barely hear.
All right, is this better, Don?
Is that better, Don?
I'll see. I'll let you know. Thank you.
All right, so the purpose of the meeting is to discuss performance of Browns Ferry nuclear plant for calendar year 2013, address any performance issues that we identified during that annual assessment meeting. And then we're going to roll into the regulatory performance meeting to discuss the results of our supplemental inspection we conducted based on a white finding and a white performance indicator that combined to result in us doing this 9502 supplemental inspection. Just some background real quick. This is an organizational chart of Region 2. It shows Victor McCree, who is the regional administrator. Down the left side, you see the division of reactor projects, then myself and my resident inspectors, who we've introduced two of. The third isn't here. He's out this week. On the right is our division of reactor safety, which is our specialist inspectors that come out to help with the site. So the NRC strategic plan goals is safety, to ensure adequate protection of public health and safety in the environment, and security, to ensure adequate protection and the secure use and management of radioactive materials. The regulatory framework that we call our reactor oversight process is anchored in our mission to ensure public health and safety in the operation of the plants. And it's broken into the three strategic performance areas: reactor safety, radiation safety, and safeguards. And those are broken into the cornerstones, which you can see listed as 7 cornerstones. The way we conduct our oversight due to the process is we use both baseline inspection results. These are the inspection results that on our routine day-to-day inspections, and then any inspection results from any supplemental or reactive inspections we conduct. We determine their significance, and that significance is colored, and we'll talk about those in a minute. And then those roll into our action matrix. Going down the right side, we also monitor performance of the plant using performance indicators. These are calculated numbers that look at the availability of certain equipment, the performance of their security equipment, radiation exposures, items like that, number of plant trips, such as the Unit 3 scram they had or earlier this month, will be reflected in the performance indicators for Unit 3. Those have certain thresholds that if they cross those will either go from green to white to yellow to red as they get increasingly worse. And those results also roll into our action matrix. And this slide just sort of indicates the colors, and as we go from green, white, yellow to red, we take higher actions or more significant actions for each of those. As I mentioned, we take those findings and those PIs and roll them into what we call the action matrix, which is identified in our inspection manual, chapter 0305. And the column on the left is licensing response. That's it there. Everything's green. All the findings and performance indicators are green. Going up to regulatory response, degraded cornerstone, multiple repetitive degraded cornerstone, then unacceptable performance. If the licensees and licensing response column, they're getting essentially our standard set of inspections, which we call baseline, which is standardized across all the nuclear plants. As they go to the right, they get more intrusive inspections. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and turn over to Mr. David Dombacher, the senior resident, to present the actual results for the Browns Ferry performance for 2013. Dave?
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? All right. For 2013, the NRC's annual assessment summary for Browns Ferry was that TVA operated a plant safely in a manner that preserved public health and safety and protected the environment. On the slide, you can see for Unit 1, the red box, Unit 1 for the year 2013 was in the fourth column over the multiple repetitive degraded cornerstone. This is because there was one red finding that had been initiated before 2013, carried through the year, related to a low pressure coolant injection valve. Additionally, there was 3 white, what we call mitigating systems cornerstones inputs. One of these was related to what the Browns Ferry plant calls safe shutdown procedures, and 2 were performance indicators. Jonathan mentioned we look at findings and performance indicators both. There's 2 indicators, one associated with the high pressure coolant injection, and another with the performance indicator for the emergency AC power systems. That was Unit 1. Unit 2 was, as you can see, in the third column over from the left, the degraded cornerstone. And as Jonathan mentioned earlier, the cornerstone that the plant is in determines what type and how much additional inspection or oversight we provide. Unit 2 was in the degraded cornerstone because of 2 white mitigating system cornerstone inputs and 1 white initiating events input. The mitigating system inputs were related to a failure to accomplish, again, the safe shutdown procedures, and the performance indicator also emergency AC power. Unit 1 and 2 share common AC power equipment, so this performance indicator applied to both units. And then lastly, for Unit 2, there was 1 white initiating events cornerstone input, and this was related to failure to follow procedures that resulted in a reactor scram for Unit 2. And that was back in December of 2012, and we inspected it in 2013. That's Unit 2. Unit 3, as you can see, is in the second cornerstone over, the regulatory response cornerstone. This was due to 1 white initiating events cornerstone input, specifically the performance indicator for unplanned scrams. There was sufficient number of scrams that this got to the threshold, the white threshold for the performance indicator. So in summary, that's where Unit 1, 2, and 3 were assessed at for 2013. As Jonathan mentioned earlier, we do additional oversight and inspection when we get findings or performance indicators to move the licensees over. But additionally, we have essentially year-round, every day of the year, oversight by the resident inspectors on site. Myself, Lundy Presley over here, and Tom Stephen. We provide the daily plant inspection. There was over 9,700 hours total of inspection and associated activities during 2013. Of these, about 7,000 were direct inspection. There was also 12 regional baseline inspections, and of those 12, 4 major team inspections are listed up there. The site inspection for license renewal, that was the phase 2 of that inspection. Problem identification and resolution inspection, that has to do with their corrective action program. Component design basis inspection, and a triennial fire protection inspection. Some of these inspections aren't every year, but they happen to fall in 2013. Next slide. As I mentioned, we do the baseline inspection with the residents and the team inspections from the region. In 2013, we also had supplemental inspection activity. Specifically related to the red finding was the inspection procedure 9503. It is an NRC procedure that drives our guidance for doing this inspection. We completed that inspection procedure 9503 in December of 2013. As I mentioned, it was associated with the red finding and what's called a severity level 3 violation. Also, as I mentioned, Unit 1 was also impacted by the high pressure coolant injection performance indicator. Additionally, on Unit 2, we had supplemental inspection 9501 inspection procedure. As I mentioned, that was related to the initiating event Cornerstone, which was a scram that happened late 2012, and then we inspected it in 2013. The red finding and the severity level 3 violation drop off the action matrix. So our assessment, that drops off in first quarter 2014. The high pressure coolant injection white performance indicator will drop off when the performance indicator value returns to the green value threshold. And then the failure to follow the procedure that resulted in the scram I talked about, that also dropped off in the first quarter. We have additional inspections in this year, 2014. Some of these have already been completed, but they're significant, so I'll note them. We had the inspection procedure 95002 for Unit 1 and 2 related to the safe shutdown instruction procedures combined with the white performance indicator for emergency AC power. LaDonna's going to talk about that inspection and the results. Also completed this year was the Unit 3 inspection related to the performance indicator for unplanned scrams. And then yet to be done related to a white finding for inadequate emergency preparedness staffing issue is an inspection procedure 9501, and that'll happen later this year once TVA indicates they're ready for that, and the NRC comes on site and performs that. Turn it back over to Jonathan.
I'll take it from Jonathan, thanks. Thanks, Dave, for that overview. So just to summarize before I turn it over to TVA and allow them to respond, just four points. One, TVA in 2013 operated the Browns Ferry units safely, as Dave indicated, and based on our assessment, public health and safety was assured and the environment was protected. Dave alluded to a number over 9,000 hours, almost 10,000 actually, of inspection that we expended at Browns Ferry in 2013. A significant amount, well over a third, was what we refer to as supplemental inspection activity, which is again substantial. But based on that, we were able to determined that the performance of TVA at Browns Ferry has improved, and that the site has a higher regard for safety culture, which is a significant component of their performance, and that we inspected as part of the inspection procedure 95003 in 2013. As Dave indicated, Browns Ferry Unit 1 does remain in column 4. We did close the red finding and the confirmatory action letter in December of 2013. It remains in column 4 because of the 2 additional white inputs, which we have inspected. LaDonna is going to speak to that in a moment. But because both are performance indicators, there are hours that are part of that performance indicator that do have to roll off, as we characterize it, before that input to our action matrix ends. My last point is that it is likely that those hours will roll off, those performance indicators, within the next month or 2. As a result of that, Region 2 will perform an assessment of Browns Ferry Unit 1's performance, as we do routinely, but if and or when that performance indicator returns to green, we will assess Browns Ferry's performance and may, as a result of that, move Browns Ferry to the left in the action matrix, consistent with the reactor oversight process. So I wanted you to be aware of that as well. At this point, Mr. Balduzzi, I'll turn the meeting over to you.
And just real quick before I do that, for the members of the public on the phone, at least the ones that contacted me, I did just email you the TVA slides.